Let's be honest with ourselves here. Samurai are cool. Afro Samurai? Cool. Samurai Jack? Cool. Jin Sakai? Cool, cool, cool. Mega cool. But I think nowadays, even you can see that a lot of our cool stuff has been overtaken by woke DEI, infecting the landscape, effectively turning all of our cool, awesome, strong men into wimpy little sissies. Or even worse, women. So, with the advent of Ghost of Yote coming out and taking over the mantle of Big Nuts Jin with the likes of a woman, woke point, I figured I'd take up the role of woke analyzer and take a look at how truly woke Ghost of Yote is. We'll be focusing mostly on the story though, as most of the side stuff can be pushed aside as something you'd have to go out of your way to find. A stupid excuse, but I don't even want to think about doing anything other than the game's stupid story. Disregard that. To get an idea of the game's wokeness, I'll be introducing the Woker scale. Anything that will be deemed woke in current day terms will be given a point, and move the marker closer to one edge of the slider. And any repeats in the narrative will also be attributed to moving the marker across the slider. Lord knows they're just shoveling this agenda down our throats, am I right? Why aren't you moving? And anything considered unwoke will be given a negative point, moving the marker to the opposite end of the slider respectively. It's not exactly a fine science to what is and isn't considered woke, but if you manage to watch to the end of the video, I promise you'll get the gist of what the guidelines are. It'll be smooth sailing. To start off, you play as the game's new ghost called Atsu, an experienced fighter who loses her family at a young age to a group called the Yotei 6. And the game takes us through her journey to find and kill those members all across the world in hopes of avenging her family. Stop me if you've heard this before. The prologue has Atsu making her way to the first of the 6 members and killing them, while also being stabbed in the process. After a while of being literally dead, she miraculously wakes up from what will actually be a fatal stab wound later in the game. Oh, right, by the way, spoilers for the whole game if it wasn't obvious. Anywho, she survives an inconsistent killing blow, wakes up, and is immediately given the title of Ghost. Already we've got 3 woke points stemming from plot armor, a woman overtaking a man's role with ease, and a woman randomly being stronger than a man? Yeah, wokeness has gone too far. You know what? Add another woke point for divine intervention, because the first game never had Jin have a resurrection moment. Disregard that. After all that, the game finally begins with... You forgot about the flashbacks. Flashbacks? Oh, come on! Before the game finally begins, Atsu returns to her old homestead so she can give you a lore dump about how the 6 slimed her family for playing the guitar. Plus 1 point for being a random prodigy, and for doing a man's job of fighting and smithing. 2 more points. Man, don't you just miss the good old days when women would just... The game finally begins with a lone wolf chapter, accompanied with Atsu seeing and for some reason being allied with a lone wolf for the rest of the game. Yeah, sure. Well, minus 1 point. What can I say? I like dogs too much. Atsu's first objective is to go out and find out about the Yotei 6, to which she goes to a nearby inn to ask some questions, plus 1 woke point for trying to ore farm, and fails to a Spider-Man 2 levels of comedic effect.
I'm fresh out of honey.
She kills the outlaws holding up the inn, gets nothing, then proceeds to climb up a mountain to meet up with the future Gohan of Yotei.
Dad? No, you're not him. Dad! Dad!
And then proceeds to admit that her family died because she led the killers to her house, meaning that her family died all because of her. But she manages to pull a sword out of her shoulder, stop the bleeding, stitch up the wound, and beat whatever guaranteed infection she should have had, all at the ripe old age of, like, 5. After trauma dumping, she learns from the guy with 1 arm, by the way, how to dual-wield swords. Both games' combat has always melded a mix of challenge to the gameplay. Because of that, the necessity to get more health and more spirit bars or bulbs is high. So, you'll be tasked with traveling the open world in search of bamboo strikes and hot springs, the latter being of strong interest to Gooners prior to Yotei's release. Across the ways, Atsu learns who the remaining member of the Yotei 6 are through fighting, interrogating, and interacting with the locals, and proceeds to book it to each area of Ezo where they reside. The Oni's area reintroduces Atsu's brother into the mix, explaining that he survived the attack on the family and got away and proceeded to live a new life as though his whole family had died. And when I say he survived, do you think he survived a stabbing like his sister? Maybe you're thinking he took a fall off screen and was just assumed dead to the rules of dying off screen. He gets shot with a gun in the face. Once Atsu and Jubei come up with a plan to sell her brother over to the Oni in order to get close enough to kill him, another flashback sequence ensues to show off the night that their parents died, and that Jubei, the boy, is incompetent with fighting, and that Atsu, the girl, is capable of landing a strike that half blinds the guy. 1 woke point for turning the man into a wimpy liberal sissy or whatever. I don't know, I'm just the analyzer. Trouble arises, the plan fails, and soon after, she gets more of Jubei's clan killed and most of their efforts ruthlessly torn to shreds. But she mentioned getting a boo-boo on her shoulder some odd years ago, and Jubei's just like, water on the bridge, as Ma always says. And they carry on. Woke point to no real consequences befalling the woman character. Not long later, the brother-sister combo get to use the power of teamwork and friendship to queue up for duos and chop the dude's head off. Next up for the chopping block, Atsu heads out to what is essentially Michigan in the middle of April, gets jumped in the parking lot, travels to another local inn, gets into another bar fight, wins the fight, and somehow gains an ally from the local MILF. Ma'am, I'd love some friends. This is Oyuki. Oyuki helps out Atsu by turning her into a waitress. And then has us give a dude diarrhea.
Oh.
This somehow works. This eventually leads to the Fox's hideout, and along with that, another boss fight. Only in this case, for some reason, my boss fight decided to forget what damage was. This went on for 10 more minutes. Once you actually knock this guy to the floor, he cheapens out by hitting you with a exposed on Twitter dagger and reveals where Oyuki was on the night of January 6th. Along with the twist reveal of Oyuki being the original Fox, Atsu is then fully branded the title of Ghost of Yote on her wanted poster. Instead of some renowned build-up to accepting the title of Ghost, Atsu is pretty much given the title seemingly throughout the entire game, without much objection or acceptance really. It's more of a floating asterisk or tagline as to who Atsu is, and unlike in Tsushima, carries almost no weight to what it means to be the Ghost in terms of personal conflict, until the third and final chapter of the game, where it easily ramps up to being another story about the cost of revenge. What's the third chapter's name, you may ask? The Cost of Revenge. Yep. Impeccable writing. I love it. Wow, I almost forgot this video was about a woke meter. What was I talking about? Oh, right. 10 woke points for January 6th and for getting me sidetracked. After fighting, defeating, accepting, getting high, and playing Guitar Hero with Oyuki and her dead mom for some reason, the two along with Jubei jump into all-out war as it dives into Chapter 2, with the leading reasonable people being the revenge-driven vagabond and one of the perpetrators of a forced orphaning. In the midst of all-out war, you find out that Jubei has a daughter. Say, weirdly enough, there's a whole lot of Asian characters everywhere I go. To compensate, 1,000 woke points for the DEIing of the whole game. Atsu, wanting to bond with her newfound niece, steals medicine from the local military, endangers the well-being of children, and traumatizes her niece, probably for life. After failing to kill the dragon in the raid boss event, the new plan is to use the dragon's brother, the spider, as bait to be able to lure him in and kill both at once. Once again, the plan fails. And with the spider and the dragon, as well as the father Lord Saito, storming the beaches of the castle Atsu's been staying at, Atsu lets her brother and her newly found niece probably die by themselves while she goes to cross 2 to 3 names off her list. She manages to kill the dragon, who not only has a gun, but has the spider trained on her as well, who also has a gun. The fake fox from before managed to nurple her with the equivalent of throwing a book at her. A gunshot by a trained marksman would, and should, obliterate her. 2 woke points for their weird failed matchup. The castle falls, Atsu finds Jubei's daughter at the outskirts of the area, brings her back to her old home, and leaves to go touch base again with future Gohan.
Dad! Dad!
And then has a come to Jesus moment, all because Jubei's daughter said some really mean things. After literally like 2 minutes of talking to this guy again, Atsu has to climb back down an entire mountain again just to go desecrate a gravesite the spider buried his brother at, which... rude. 2 woke points. She, for some reason, chooses not to kill the spider. He agrees to help free her brother and the fox from his dad's camp, They are freed only to learn that the man behind it all has rushed back to the scene of the crime for one final battle against Atsu, to which Jubei dies, Saito dies, and the game wraps up with an all-girl surviving cast, and a strange amount of parents being killed. That's, 5 woke points. Meaning that over the course of the game's main story, it has accumulated the grand total of 1,533 woke points, and a total of 15 negative unwoke points. Blowing the top off of the boiling woke pot this game is stirred up here, making Ghost of Yote mega woke. Which means you are obligated by law to stay away from this game at all costs. It is a threat to both national security and the way of life of the human race. Oh, hi. Sorry about that. I just had a dream about a guy being really preachy. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you want to keep up to date with my uploads, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really means a lot. Every bit of support is appreciated and it keeps me wanting to make more stuff for whoever decides to keep watching these things of mine. So, if you're interested in more of me, you know where to find me. Take care.